keyword media controls the narrative. We help you determine what is real and what is not.
Global conspiracy. Key players, highest levels of power, reaches into the lives of every man, woman, and child on this planet.
Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no Satans. Friday, November 10, 2023, our guests are Paul Roberts. Paul Roberts is a Fortean investigator investigating all things paranormal, from UFOs to ghosts to demons to cryptids. He is an author of over 73 paranormal-themed books. Roberts is also a journalist for Phenomena Magazine, Co-Subject Times, Outer Limits Magazine, and Paranormal Underground Magazine. Our next guest is Marissa McGinnis, #MeTooFamilyCourt Agent. Marissa seeks to bridge the gap between domestic abuse among family court crisis and MK Ultra. She is currently writing a book, developing a screenplay, and a comedy series about trauma. Marissa is networking to start a social movement to protect the children for a better future. Our next guest is Mark McAfee, Sig Semper Tyrannis News Podcast. Mark is a U.S. veteran, Messianic Jew, an independent investigative journalist and podcaster. Mark reports on geopolitical events that are culminating in a world government scenario. He breaks down the biblical and spiritual aspects of current events. You can find Mark on Rumble. Our next guest is Tanya Joy Gibson, Beauty for Ashes, Tanya Joy Show, Tanya Joy TV, Coffee Talk with Esther. Tanya is a former Miss Illinois. She's a broadcaster, a singer, an actress, a speaker, and an activist for Jesus. Rounding out the final hour of the Wake Nation is Susie Q, White Horse Productions. Susie is a world cutting horse champion and owner of a horse ranch and event center. She's an entrepreneur who escaped being murdered by serial killers Otis Toole and Henry Lee Lucas. She is currently working on her memoirs. Don't forget to subscribe to the Dark Outpost at darkoutpost.tv. There you will find exclusive content, interviews, documentaries, and intel not found anywhere else. For the full show, go to awakenation.tv. Falling down the rabbit hole can hurt. Ouch. Ow, that's gonna hurt. We will provide the researchers and whistleblowers. Your mission is to discern the truth from the MSN lies. And now for the interview portion of the Awake Nation. And awake we go with a shot of espresso. It's showtime.
Hi, welcome back to the Awake Nation with Penny Ellie Shepard and David Zublik with you. This 30 minutes of the Awake Nation is brought to you by our good friends over at My Pillow, with an excellent selection of pillows, sheets, comforters, slippers, bathrobes, much more, all up to 66% off. Go to mypillow.com/The Awake Nation, because as we always say,
For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit mypillow.com.
and joining us now, our next guest, Paul Dale Roberts.
Hey,
Hola.
hey, hola. Hello, Penny. Hello, David. Thank you for having me on.
Paul. Always love you, man.
Oh,
How early
thank
is it
you.
over there?
What's that?
How early is it over there?
Oh, it's 6:35 a.m.
Wow. And you got sunshine coming in there now?
Yeah, it's starting to come. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, good. Yeah.
I was just telling my wife the other day, I said, you know what I love about this time of the year? I love watching a beautiful sunset while I'm having my lunch. Sun goes down so early.
Oh my gosh. That is funny.
Anyway, so listen, what's going on? I mean, I know we have a video queued up for you. What are we talking about today, Paul?
Well, okay. Well, we'll talk about the legend of Dyer Lane.
Okay.
And I believe that's the video that you have.
Okay. Do you want us to play that first?
Oh yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
All right. We'll do that, and then that way.
While you're doing that, I could have an espresso.
Yeah, you can.
I'm drinking mine now, but half of it went up my nose when David just said that.
Oh my god. Oh, that's funny.
Here's the video. Let's play this. It's 3 minutes and 33 seconds.
Okay.
Please let me know that you're here.
There's a lot of stories about paranormal activity out here. Did you hear that?
Your name? Would you tell me your...
What is that?
Would you tell me your...
Sounds like a woman out there in the house saying, help me.
She saw a woman in the car.
Would you tell me your name?
The lady that I saw here was really thick. It's thick, you know, and it's just shaggy, thick and shaggy, like to about her shoulders.
Oh my God! Man, this place is active.
Talk to me.
Like at the end of this road, I was seeing a figure, and it just reminds me of that at the very end where the arrow turns. So I don't know if there was like an accident there or what, but there's a figure, very tall, and it's like black silk all hanging down, and then the face is covered, but they also are showing me that they're blindfolding somebody else, like with a black silk blindfold too, and black silk blindfolds sometimes indicate some death, so somebody I feel like died there.
Oh, wow. More than 30 years ago, a teenager was stabbed to death there. 1995, a 20-year-old man was shot and killed execution style on Dyer Lane.
Dyer Lane, there's a lot of urban legends. And some of those urban legends, I'm going to name them off. A satanic cult used to hang out here with red robes. So sometimes people see people with red robes in the fields. The second one, that a witch's coven used to come out here. And with that witch's coven, 2 high school boys attacked 2 of the witches, assaulted them, and killed them. And supposedly, there's a curse on the land because of the witches who died here. The third one, the KKK supposedly was out here in the 1930s. And they lynched a gentleman by the name of Tyrone. And Tyrone's ghost is supposed to be out here. And people also too see people walking around in the fields with white hoodies. But as they watch them, they fade into nothingness.
This is where they fell in their sanctuary, or this is where something bad happens. This is one spirit's hell, one spirit's heaven, you know. It's all about perspective and like what they manifested when they were alive.
Wow. Incredible. Absolutely incredible. Where is Dyer Lane located?
Alberta, which is right next to Sacramento.
Okay.
And when I got out of the Army, that was 1976, I went back to Sacramento, and I was living in the Bay Area with my parents before the Army, but then they moved to Sacramento, and so I settled in Sacramento, and I heard all these stories about Dyer Lane, and I was already a journalist. I was working doing comic books and stuff like that. So I was basically a comic book journalist. And they said, Paul, you need to write a story about Dyer Lane because there's no written record of it, but it has all these urban legends. And so one day I wrote this story and it got all over the place, and then flocks of people started going to Dyer Lane. It became a real popular place to investigate. But the place is really haunted, and the stories, I really don't believe all the stories. I mean, there's stories about a ghost cop that will chase you down, and then it just vanishes. There's a ghostly hitchhiker. There's a ghostly tractor. There's some guy driving his tractor, and he'll fade off into the mist. The Witch's Coven, the Satanic Cult, and the KKK. So there are just so many little stories about Dyer Lane, which makes it really interesting, and it has everybody intrigued and wanting to go there. And people do get evidence. They get EVPs and everything else. So it's a very unusual place. In Sacramento's urban legends.
Are there homes around that area? In other words, do people live on Dyer Lane, or is it just like a throughway, rural types? It looked like it was like you guys were near some fences or something. Like it's kind of like a rural road.
Yeah, total emptiness. I mean, yeah, there's no houses out there or anything. And then you have all these young kids that go over there, and they take chalk and they paint. I mean, they chalk out body images on the street, and they write satanic stuff. So you got a bunch of weirdos over there. Just not too long ago, some lady was driving over there because she was curious about Dyer Lane. She wanted to see if she was going to see anything. And all of a sudden, these two cars went up by her, and they were trying to push her off the road. So it's actually kind of dangerous now to go there because you got a lot of crazies that hang out there. And there actually has been some deaths there, as you were seeing on the text there. Those were true, yeah.
Wow.
Like your headline would be, if you want to die, go to Dyer Lane.
Yeah.
Dyer Straits.
My first article was the dire circumstances of Dyer Lane.
Right.
Yeah, and yeah, it's a dangerous place to go to. And what was amazing about it is that people talked about it, but there was no written record of it. So I recorded all the urban legends and everything, and my article was called The Dire Circumstances of Dyer Lane. And now it's super popular. In fact, Ghost Adventures was going to do an investigation over there, but things fell through and they didn't do it.
What was the name of the organization on your lapel? What was that? What is that?
Here?
No, not now. On the one in the video.
Oh, on the
There's
video. Department of Fish and Wildlife. I was probably, or that was either the
It was H something.
It said HPI? Did it say HPI?
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, that's Halo Paranormal Investigations.
Okay, is that still active?
Oh, yes. In fact, we had just recently an all-night UFO ghost hunt. And that was over in Natomas. And they have a creek called Banning Creek. And it's haunted. And the reason why it's haunted is because the homeless actually were living there. And some of the homeless died at the creek. Some died away from the creek, but their spirit went right back to the creek because they were happy there. It was a homeless community. The homeless are no longer there. So they had an all-night hunt at Banning Creek, and one of the investigators actually got something that said, on the EVP, said, watch your step. And it was very, very clear. Yeah.
I wonder if somebody slipped and hit their head and died in the lake. So slipped in a row.
Yeah, well, you know, that creek, yeah, especially at nighttime if you don't know what you're doing. And I told the investigators, I said, please, have flashlights, stay out of the creek. I don't want you to become a casualty and becoming a ghost for me to investigate.
You know, you could write an entire book about Dyer Lane. I mean, it sounds, and it would probably be a bestseller. I mean, because up until you brought it up today, I had never heard of that legend, but wow. What an interesting, for the history behind all of the violent acts that took place alone.
Oh, yeah. And also, too, there's these kids out of L.A. are trying to make a movie about Dyer Lane. But they're trying, they're trying to raise money and everything to make this movie. And right now they have a trailer on it, so you can put on their Dyer Lane trailer on the Google search, and you'll find the trailer.
Let me look it up while you're doing that. Because,
Have those kids come to you?
What's that?
Have those kids come to you to ask you for information?
They did email me, and they wanted to know more about the urban legends over there. And they want to know, because I know all the details, just like the Witch's Coven, there's like two different stories where,
I believe those stories, Paul. Do you?
I mean, I believe it has a foundation of truth. I do believe that possibly there was a Witch's Coven hanging out there. I believe there was a satanic cult that probably came out there, because you got a bunch of crazies now that go there. So yeah, I do think it has a foundation of truth, and I think David found something here.
yeah, let's play this.
Pretty sweet deal, huh? Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, this price is too good to be true.
What about the stories I heard about this place? The KKK lynchings?
No, those are just urban legends.
Didn't some kids die out here just a few years ago?
No. Like I said, urban legends, just urban legends. This is Dyer Lane, huh?
Yeah. The Dyer family used to run a slaughterhouse out here around the turn of the century. Old man Dyer caught his wife cheating on him, so he murdered his entire family one night.
That's right, and I'm pretty sure the ruins to the old slaughterhouse are still out here somewhere. Bullshit, ghost stories. Are we getting this party going or what?
Dyer Lane.
You ready to go again? I've got people calling every day. Just sign the deed. You got nothing to lose. But things will never be the same since we went to Dyer Lane.
Interesting. All right. Well, there you have it. Now, was there really any truth to the slaughterhouse thing, the Dyer family and the slaughterhouse?
No.
I didn't think so, but...
And there's another story to the Witch's Coven, too. Supposedly, a warlock laid out 7 women, witches, on the ground. And he went from one witch to the next witch, being intimate with them. And when, yes, one at a time. And then when he finally released himself, I'm trying to say this as nice as I can, release himself.
What a lot of stamina this guy has.
I mean, he's got the three witches at Eastbrook, beat.
Yeah. When he finally released himself with one witch, that witch thought she was going to become like some supreme witch of the coven. But in turn, she was sacrificed. So, yeah, so the...
That goes in Satan's world.
Oh,
You
yeah,
think
yeah.
you're going to be the head honcho, but they invite you to dinner, you are dinner.
Oh, yeah, yeah. And that's one of the urban legends, yes, of Dyer Lane. That's what people are so fascinated with it, because it has so many urban legends. And I'm really honored because I was the first one to ever write about it. Now it's just blew up, and people want to make movies out of it. There's books on it. People actually now have different Sacramento authors who went over there, and they have books written about it. So, yeah.
There's a bunch of Dyer Roads. There's one in Santa Ana. I think there's one in Irvine. I remember Dyer Road, but different Dyer Roads. So wonder if that translates to any other Dyer Roads.
Yeah, it could be. Could be. Could be that connection.
Yeah, there are a lot of books. There's looks like a novel called Dyer Lane, by somebody named Marie Atchison.
I think I know her. Yeah.
Okay, and then just a bunch of. You're right. There's like 3 or 4 different books about this. I'm gonna have to. I'll get the Marie Atchison book. And interesting.
You know what? I was just looking up the Dyer name, okay, and it says Maul Dyer, 1697 is the name of a legendary 17th century resident of Leonardtown, Maryland, who is said to be accused of witchcraft.
Wow.
And chased out of her home by local townsfolk in a winter night. Her body was allegedly found a few days later, partially frozen to a large stone.
Wow, that's amazing.
Maybe that's what it was actually named after.
Yeah.
You know how they name roads for, like townships. They're named after either influential people, or like if they'll have a German town, then the German town was actually founded by German residents. So they would have that kind of a connection. So maybe Dyer Road was, did you find out who Dyer Road was actually named after?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, obviously it was not the Dyer family, as they said in this trailer of this movie.
Yeah.
And I hope, I hope they do get the crowdfunding for it. I mean, if they're not, we have a famous, and you're probably familiar with this, Paul. If not, here in Michigan, not too far from where I live, there is an old abandoned insane asylum. It's called Eloise. And it's said to be haunted. They hold tours, and you can have spend the night there and that sort of thing. Around Halloween, they do a lot of ghost investigations there, and they actually made a horror movie out of the movie called Eloise. You can watch it on Amazon, I think. But I mean, it's nothing like what really happened. But it's an interesting thing. So I hope these people get. Well, for nothing else, it'll draw more attention to people wanting to do research on the reality of it.
And I love how stories grow. That's how it makes legends. It's like, wow, okay, now there's this story. It's just the legend just keeps on growing.
What else are you working on right now that we can promote so that people can follow you here?
Oh, okay. And also too, I want to mention, close to Sacramento is haunted Bass Lake Road. There's another road, it's called Bass Lake Road, and come to find out, nobody ever wrote about it, and so I went and gathered the stories and wrote about it. And there's like this old man, there's a bench dedicated to him, and the ghost of this old man sits on that bench, and people see him. There's a woman that looks all wet, and she's waving down cars looking for a ride. and that is a drowning victim at Haunted Bass Lake Road.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That reminds me, there's this. Go ahead, Penny.
Well, do you go all over the world?
Yeah, I've been to 59 countries. So now that I'm retired, I'm kind of happy just stay at home. It's like I got the traveling out of my system, you know. But I will continue to write stories about my travels and stuff like that and things that I've seen. I've taken a lot of notes, so I have an archive of notes. Plus, I have books.
So you are location scout for Ghost Adventures?
Yeah.
What does that involve?
Basically just looking for locations for them to film at. So I told them about Dyer Lane, and they were working on that. They really wanted that, but they didn't get it. And I think it's because the roads are owned by the county. Right now, I gave them 2 cases. So if you see anything on TV that came from me, the Bodie Hotel, and which comes from Bodie, California. They moved the hotel from Bodie, California, out to someplace in Placerville, I think. And there's a house that Rudolph Valentino, the actor, used to live at, and he haunts it in San Francisco. Yeah, so.
I bet. I'd love to talk about that for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we're running short on time. Where can people find you, Paul?
Well, if you got any kind of haunting activity in Sacramento, you can call the Paranormal Hotline, which is 916-203-7503. And I'm easy to find. All you have to do is you can Bing me or Google me, Paul Dale Roberts. My articles will pop up. My telephone number's on there. Well, the Paranormal Hotline. And all my books. And this is one of my latest books right here. So... and I usually...
Are your books available on Amazon too?
Yeah, the Amazon, Barnes & Nobles, all over the place. In fact, when you Google my name, my books will show up.
Excellent. Well, it's an honor to have you on the show. I think you're like a regular contributor now, right, Penny? So he's going to be coming on.
Every other Friday.
I love it because the hair stands up on the back of my neck every time you come on. It's absolutely great. I mean, really, you're awesome. Thank you so much for being with us today. We can't wait till next time.
I love getting up early in the morning to ham the espresso, man. I'm ready.
All right, that's we'll send you. I'll send you some. Thanks so much, Paul.
Thank you, Penny and David. Thank you.
Paul Dale Roberts here on the Awakening.